So Digital Realty are the largest owner and operator of data centres globally. We've got about 130 sites across the globe. We came to the Australian market in 2011 and our first customer was National Australia Bank. They've leased this complete building. It's a 3 megawatt site, just short of 3 megawatts, 2.88 megawatts, and it's a dedicated site to National Australia Bank.
So every day this data centre will flow through at $250 billion of Australian currency, and that's a normal business day for us. That's made up of millions of individual transactions. It can be anything from a person queuing in a supermarket and waving their pass to a transaction at a turnstile. Some of it may be corporations paying all their staff. Some of it might be a company buying another company offshore and moving that money to make that transaction happen.
There's an extraordinary back end, and often people don't appreciate, when you are sat in, I'm as culpable as anyone, you're sat on bus, streaming, exactly what energy is being consumed at the back end around getting that content to you. And that's a good example of why, I guess, the internet is growing and the requirements for data centres are growing at the speed they are.
So our data centres are quite important to us. They're basically the majority of everything we do is now digital. Out of the 960 buildings that we own, about a third of our carbon footprint comes through our data centres, and that's made up of a couple of key buildings that are dedicated data centres. So that's a lot of power and a lot of carbon that we have to be accountable for. But generally, when we analyse it, it breaks down that each of that use of that carbon is helping the efficiency of the organisation. We're transferring data now. We don't have to load up reports and ship them from branch to branch. We don't need to get people to sign things and then send them back in. All those trucks that were running around the country just exist less and less today, and we do less in physical transfer.
The key characteristics of the data centre are security, efficiency and resilience. Resilience really is around maintaining uptime within the site, and that is probably the most fundamental thing. People will not accept data centres falling over because, banks as a classic example, they can't afford downtime. People are banking all of the time, there's transactions happening all of the time. It's a 24/7 business, so organisations cannot afford downtime. So hence, in order to get that resilience, you end up building significant mechanical and electrical infrastructure to support the racks and the servers and the equipment that sits within the white space.
Our bank has been involved with NABERS in the building space for years, more than 10 years. So we've always been involved, and it's taught us a discipline in our buildings that are very real. And now we choose buildings based on NABERS star ratings. So that is a criteria when we go to market for buildings, that they're well performing and they're going to use their energy efficiently. As a carbon neutral company, that's really important for us. So when they started looking at data centres, the NABERS teams, we got involved and we did some pilots for them, and I worked on the committee, the technical advisory committee, to basically see what's coming, how it was going to work, how similar was it going to be to the building systems and that sort of thing. I think the building system has proven itself in the industry. The data centre one's just starting, and it will have a similar impact. And if you look at what it's done in the buildings and how it's changed behaviour and made those buildings more efficient, the same will happen in data centres. And what we've tried to build here is the most efficient system we can. But what's different with NABERS and what's world leading with NABERS is that they actually want you not just to have an IT load, but have an efficient IT load. So there is like the amount of work your servers do is proportional to the score you'll get. And if you use them more, you'll get a more efficient result.
An awful lot of people will make claims about the efficiency of their data centre, and unless you can justify it, unless you can have objective, empirically measured benchmarking of how your data centre is performing, then really, you know, you can't prove it. And that's one of the key things that we see with NABERS, as we do with other certifications, that it's independently certified, which allows you to really define and to prove the performance of your data centre.
And I think that's where NABERS is unique. It will create a more efficient landscape for data centres in this country, and it'll set the bar based around that. And it's important to us that we can prove to our society that what we do is efficient, clean, and the best we possibly can. And because banks are just part of a society. We're part of the fabric of society. We have a function within society. We need to be answerable to society for what we do, and the carbon footprint we produce, it needs to be as efficient as we can.